islet of Langerhans, you guys have already seen a few times. Acinar cells in between. What two cells should we see in the islet of Langerhans?
Alpha and beta.
Alpha and beta. What color are the alpha cells going to be?
Red.
Red, and the beta cells? Okay. There should be more betas than alphas, because when you eat food, your blood sugar goes up. Insulin's there to do what? Lower blood sugar level by telling all the cells to take up sugar they need for energy. And when I say sugar, glucose. So all the cells need glucose for energy, but also we store glucose in the liver. And what is it called when we store it in the liver? Glycogen, so that we have a source later on. And then the alpha cells produce glucagon, say 4 hours after we eat. Blood sugar levels start to go a little bit lower. I'm not saying low, I'm saying lower. Glucagon's released, goes to the liver and says, hey, you remember that glycogen? Let's break some of it down back into glucose to raise the blood glucose level, because we try to maintain a pretty level blood glucose. Okay? How do we do that if we don't eat constantly the same thing all the time? The insulin and the glucagon balance it out. What kind of control is that? Humoral control, because they are antagonists. Which one causes the formation of glycogen? Insulin. Remember, formation means I'm storing it for the future. Because we can't store glucose as glucose. We have to convert it to glycogen. And glucagon causes the breakdown of glycogen back into glucose. You remember when we were going over the liver and you say, the liver metabolizes nutrients. Kind of the stuff we were talking about. Now on this one, the dark ones would be the betas. See this one? This is the only good alpha I see. Right there. Well, that one might be a good one too. And here, the red would be alpha, the blue would be beta. Hyper secretion of insulin causes what? Nope. Hyperinsulinism. Hypoglycemia. Okay? Because insulin lowers blood glucose. So if you have too much of it, what's your blood glucose going to do? And if your blood glucose is too low, or you don't have enough insulin for the cells to get the glucose, what do your cells do to make energy?
Cellular respiration.
Which is ketoacidosis. You heard of this before? So when I'm thinking about the islet of Langerhans and somebody asks me some weird-ass question about what is my cell breakdown because I don't have enough insulin or I don't have enough glucose, I'm thinking, what are my possible answers? Well, isn't one of your vocabulary words ketoacidosis? That's what my guess would be, ketoacidosis. Not some weird thing you haven't studied yet. You guys need to, if we're talking about the islet of Langerhans, we're talking about humoral control, we're talking about diabetes mellitus, that would be hyposecretion of insulin. We're talking about hyperinsulinism, which is too much insulin. And, of course, too much insulin causes hypoglycemia. Not enough insulin causes hyperglycemia. But both conditions can cause the cell to have to break down proteins and fat to make energy, which is called ketoacidosis. People on the Atkins diet that try to cut out all their carbs go through ketoacidosis. They even check their urine to see if there's ketone bodies in it. When you're pregnant, you check your urine for ketone bodies to see if you're eating well and not eating yourself away. Somebody else. You're just listening to somebody else while you're in class? Right out of your book. How do I know? I see the fibers of the page. we have red dots. Acidophils are alphas.
Alpha.
The blue ones,
Beta.
betas. Islet of Langerhans. Adrenal cortex, how's it controlled? Hormonally by what hormone? Adrenal cortex is controlled by ACTH. Adrenocorticotropic hormone. Is it tropic? Okay. Now, what chemical classification of hormones are produced in the adrenal cortex?
Steroid.
Steroid. When they say chemical classification, what are your two options? Right. That's how you need to be on the test, not what did they just ask? So if I say steroid hormone, what is it made out of? Lipid. So would cholesterol be a lipid? So steroid hormones are made out of cholesterol. And what about proteins? Non-steroid. Which one are lipid soluble? Steroids. Which one needs a receptor and a secondary messenger? Water soluble. And which one has a specific target? Why is everybody else steroid out? Non-steroid. If a cell has to have a receptor for that hormone, then it has to have a what? That hormone has a specific target. That steroid hormones are lipid soluble and act on all cells. If you go in for steroid therapy, yeah, it's going to decrease the inflammation in your bad joint. But it's also going to cause you to gain weight and get sick. And if you do it too much, it's going to cause Cushing-esque syndrome, which means you can puff up, get round face. People with asthma know this because they get put on prednisone therapy. What do you want to do? You want to breathe, or you want to look like you have moon face? I want to breathe, so I'll take the moon face. Okay? Because when you're sitting there not being able to breathe, you do anything in there. Come on. What time are you coming home? Hello? Okay. It's going okay. Am I done?
No.
Look how obedient they are. I can take over the world. Come clean the house. Who likes laundry? Raise your hand. What's up? No, nobody raise their hand. I'm leaving here in about 20 minutes. Right. How long have I been doing this? You're not done till 8:30? Every Monday. You guys do that crap on purpose, I know.
Yeah.
Well, it's when the kids are acting on it.
It probably
My
is.
poor husband gets so many phone calls. He probably wants to slap me.
The 7-month-old, sometimes the 5-year-old is the worst. But the adrenal cortex, we have 3 layers. We have the zona glomerulosa, which aldosterone is your mineral corticoid. And what does it cause to happen? Sodium uptake, sodium resorption, sodium absorption, causing what? Water reabsorption, which helps maintain blood pressure. You have to remember the mechanism, because if you look there and it says aldosterone causes you to retain, and water's not down there, sodium, but if both are down there, aldosterone causes sodium reabsorption. And water follows that. And it is your mineral corticoid because it's talking about salt. Hyposecretion of aldosterone, Addison's. It also goes along with cortisol. No. Addison's also goes along with cortisol because it's usually a hyposecretion of both. Now, zona fasciculata. That's where testosterone, cortisol. is produced. And cortisol is your glucocorticoid because it raises blood glucose level due to stress. This doesn't mean that it helps maintain blood sugar level. It means your blood sugar is going to be higher because you're under stress. So it's released because of chronic stress, bad back, bad knee, nursing program, all of those, even day-to-day life. If you have a week, or like you guys are right now, I have a quiz this week and I have a test next week. Okay, that causes cortisol release. Back in the day it was great because you have a bad knee, swelling goes away and you can run some more. Nowadays your cell phone rings because the bill collector calls you every day at the same damn time. Okay, so we release cortisol a lot more than we did when we were in the caves, or all we needed was fire and some meat and a woman or man, depending on, I don't judge. I'm a male nurse, I don't judge. I just like women too much.
Cleavage.
Yes. Even not so much cleavage. I like it. That's my problem. Okay? I can find beauty in all forms. All right. So, when you release cortisol, it's a steroid. So it's going to decrease the inflammation. But it's also going to do what? Inflammation is a part of the immune system. It's going to suppress the immune system. So you're going to get sick. You're going to gain weight. What happens to people that are under chronic stress? They gain weight and they get sick. Hypersecretion of this, Cushing's, they get the moon face, the buffalo hump. And this is your glucocorticoid, we already talked about that. Zona reticularis, testosterone production, and this is your gonatocorticoid, which I don't like the definition you guys have for females. It does not cause secondary male characteristics in females. If it did, I'm sorry, it's a medical condition called adrenogenital syndrome. And I'm not talking about the women that have the mustaches and stuff like that, because that's genetic also. I'm talking about somebody getting all the secondary male sex characteristics. Bone mass, muscle mass, enlarged thyroid or thyroid cartilage, an enlarged clitoris. That's all testosterone. Hair in inappropriate places all over the body, not just because your grandma has a hairy mustache, you have a hairy mustache, doesn't mean you have hypersecretion of testosterone from the adrenal cortex. Who is it, Fatima? Didn't she have the eyebrow going all the way across and the mustache? All right. So in a child, premature secondary male sex characteristics would also be adrenogenital syndrome. But in females, what is this for? To help you maintain what?
Sex drive.
Sex drive. Adrenal medulla, how's it controlled? Neurally by what? Nerves. The sympathetic nervous system. Remember what epinephrine is. It is adrenaline. And that's a part of fight or flight, which is the sympathetic nervous response. And as soon as you remember that, you remember that this is controlled how? Neurally. Jeez. Capsule, and then you, right underneath the capsule is the zona G. Underneath that, you see these long lines and how it's lighter between here and here? Zona fasciculata. Then you look for these, and between here and here, zona reticularis, and then down here is the adrenal